So I'm here with Anita Mendiratta, the founder and president of Anita Mendiratta and Associates, and a very respected advisor to the tourism sector. Welcome, Anita.
Thank you very much.
Now, on Friday at the WTTC Summit in Rwanda, Anita launched her book, The Call to Leadership, Unlocking the Leader Within Times of Crisis. Anita, tell us about the book, who you interviewed and what inspired you to write it.
Thank you very much. The book is quite simply this, it's a labor of love. As we in the industry saw our industry shut down in early 2020, we saw leaders step up, people around us that just heroically couldn't help themselves but become leaders for us. And I wanted to understand why. I wanted to understand what in their wiring inspired them to be brave enough to do what they could to make sure our industry was able to get back in the sky and cross borders again. I also wanted to make sure that the people who worked tirelessly for those 2 years to do so were thanked. I didn't want the world to open up again and we just revert back to muscle memory and we don't appreciate the people who really did step forward because there were a lot of lives and livelihoods lost. So it really was just a labor of love. The people that are in the book itself, there are 20 leaders that I knew personally because I needed to get very personal in interviews. So we have Willie Walsh, the Director General of IATA, Julia Simpson, the President CEO of the WTTC. We have Puneet Chhatwal from IHCL. We've got people across the entire ecosystem. So Paul Griffiths from Dubai Airports. We have Dan Richards from Global Rescue. So literally right across the world. Matthew Upchurch Virtuoso. Importantly, it's not a book about tourism, it's not a book about COVID. Those are common canvases that allow everyone to relate to that time and be able to learn from it.
And you talk about being wired to lead or being wired not to lead, to live. Tell us what you discovered about the leaders that you spoke to.
What was fascinating is that we're all born with wires in our minds. Our brains work in certain ways, but something will happen that will fuse that wiring. And I knew seeing the leaders in action that something had happened in their life that enabled them, their wiring to come together. And ultimately, when a crisis hit, they felt a calling. And so absolutely right to hypothesis, these leaders were able to instantly remember a moment in their life, whether they were a young child or an adult, whether it was a good moment or a tragedy, they knew what that moment was. And it was beautiful for them to see it and then realize that's why they were able to stand forward during COVID. So it was extremely special.
So tell us, who should read this book? Who's the audience and what will we learn?
Indeed. I'm hoping that anyone can feel they can read the book. It is not a self-help guide. It is not a how to be a leader. It's a way for us to go back in time and look at when a moment hit, how can I learn to get through it stronger? How can I learn to identify how to take control of a crisis, whether it's personal or professional, small or a global crisis? And importantly, how can I find a way to see something better on the other side? So it is about giving people confidence and clarity and also being kind to themselves because crises are hard. We need to be able to be kind to ourselves and others for how we respond.
And finally, what's your favourite chapter and why?
Oh, my favorite chapter. It's a bit of a favorite child question. My favorite chapter is number 11. It's called The Hardest Part, and it's where leaders literally confess how difficult it was leading, either because of the fatigue and they got COVID, watching other leaders failing to lead, having to let go of people. It's the most compassionate chapter where leaders were able to admit, as much as I was a leader and I did it for others, it was difficult and I need people to understand what I went through. So I love it because I find it's very intimate and very honest, which gives other people permission to be honest. But it was also a way for the leaders that we had around us to be able to say, just please recognize what I also went through. And I'm so grateful that they were so honest in sharing that with me, because I don't think anyone else in the world, in all the interviews that were given, anyone else heard that message.
It sounds very special. So just tell us lastly, where can everyone get a copy?
You can get a copy through Amazon. It's on hardcover, paperback, and ebook as well as an audiobook. It is there for anyone to access. Importantly, a third of the proceeds go straight to my foundation. This is not a commercial exercise. The other 2/3 go to the fact that I personally sponsored the book, so it's going to be able to cover that. But I welcome anyone to look into it, and www.thecalltoleadership.com will also be an access point to the information.
Well, Anita, massive congratulations on your success with this book, and we hope everybody will read it and learn something new.
Thank you, and thank you for your support, because you're a beautiful amplifier for the message. Thank you.
You're very welcome.